What's up, everyone? We're back with another show.
Oh,
Got
yes.
Crystal and Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal is the pilot. I'm the co-pilot. Who are you, Hannah?
Mm-hmm.
I'm the VIP.
Like Marlon was.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh man, that was funny. Yeah, yeah. So, we gonna. I know we got that story we was looking at just then about the 100 corpse.
Oh, yeah. The
That's
100
crazy.
skulls. The
100
100.
corpse.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
guy that robbed the cemetery. He took a
Hmm.
100 skulls and mummified body parts found in the
Sound like,
Pennsylvania
mm.
grave. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh,
And
he outdid Jeffrey Dahmer, huh? Whew.
yeah, they found bones, skulls, that was visible in the back seat of his car near an abandoned cemetery.
You think he was trying to get in the diamond lane or something, having some extra body parts up there? They think it's some extra person, so he can get into the high occupancy lane with enough people. Let me
I
stop.
don't
There we go.
know,
Okay.
They
but it
say he
said
had
Okay.
more. They say he had more bodies at his storage, right?
yeah, in his storage, and he had them hanging in his basement in his
Mm.
home. Some bodies
Wow.
that weren't even hadn't even turned into skeletons. He had
Whew.
bodies hanging
Had to
hanging in there.
decompose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had
They
bodies
said he was
hanging,
selling. He was selling some of the body parts too. Yeah.
and that makes it look like it's some type of, like you said, some type of cult.
Yeah, I think it's some type of cult. Yeah.
Yeah, or something. And then he was selling them,
Mm.
selling it to people. So uh, he's in trouble, but also include those people who was buying it from him. And then think about the
Wow.
families. That's
Damn.
awful right there.
Yeah, it's very
Like you said,
awful.
they had families that was buried together in one mausoleum. A family of 10,
Mm, mm,
and
mm.
you just go there and take. That's so
Yeah,
foul.
it is.
That's
Yeah, that's
horrible
wrong on
right
so
there.
many different levels.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what
So,
that's just bizarro.
And then his storage. They said they found at his storage unit, they found some more skulls
mm,
and bones,
wow.
mummified hands and feet, two decomposed torsos, and other skeletal items. But you know what? It was a cult. His whole body is tattooed up with all types of skulls and all types of evil looking, demonic tattoos. His neck all the way down is tattooed.
Wow.
Mm,
Mm. And
Mm.
then it happened in various states. He went to various states and did it.
mm.
Mm. He went to Delaware and did some. Wow.
And they don't know how long he's been doing this. I know they for that particular cemetery. I think he said it goes back start like November or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
we don't know what other state he's been in doing the same thing.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the thing. They just went back to November in Pennsylvania where he was doing it, but they don't know how long he's been doing it.
And they selling body. I mean,
Yeah,
cadaver
selling this.
parts and stuff like that. I'm like, wow.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
what state was he from?
This happened in
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something about Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. The city of brotherly love. No, I'm not going to even say that. But anyway, yeah, that's something. Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what in the world he was trafficking in, but
Was it?
Yeah,
trafficking
Huh?
in body
he
parts.
he went to other states, and they said when police investigated, they found out it was him that was doing it because he had went to other states and did this,
Mm-hmm. Dang.
and he was using a crowbar to open up these mausoleums and stuff, taking people's bodies. Mm.
Mm. I guess he was stealing stuff that they had up there, jewelry on him. He probably was stealing that too.
Who knows? Taking everything.
I mean, he robbed. Yeah, he grave robbing bodies and everything. Boy, this cat is a piece of work.
And then they said when they caught him, he was walking back to his car, and the police had spoke to him, and he just told the police verbally that he took about 30 sets of human remains and showed them the graves he stole the body parts from.
Hmm. And did he say why he did it? What his intent was, his reasoning, or whatever?
I don't think they said, but they feel he was like selling them on Facebook and stuff like that.
Yeah, and people was buying them.
Hmm.
And he made some good money. I mean, he's selling people's body parts. I mean, he's making, you know, at the bottom it says something about he made over $1 million off of some skulls. He was
Hmm.
selling them on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's sick.
So the same. I mean, that's terrible. I don't like to get in when you ask why did he do it. I don't like to get into excuses for people because remember we was talking about Rob Reiner's son last week
Yeah.
about him every time a certain ethnicity get caught doing something that's really outrageous. The first thing they do is throw mental illness in there, and
I know you're talking about the letters Y and P, white people.
yeah. But I'm
But
saying
go ahead, white people.
But I'm
Okay, go
saying
ahead, go ahead.
you got to get people, the people that this was done to, and people that's being victimized by this stuff. You got to have more empathy for them than the person that committed the crime, because it's going to be really hard, for people to try to cope, because of going through something like that. And when you start making excuses for the perpetrators, like one of my professors told me one time, she said the problem here in America is that we don't hold people that do horrific things accountable. We start looking for ways we can gaslight victims or turn the victims into, the perpetrators instead of holding them responsible. And until you hold the individuals responsible that actually committed the crime, that's when things is going to change.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
All
that
right,
was
y'all.
the icebreaker for today.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Let's get into this People
Okay.
versus Mansa Musa Muhammad Part 3. Um so how we gonna do it, Hannah? Did you want to say something first, or you want us to go a little bit, then you
Yeah.
jump in later
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because I got some questions that's going to be relevant
as
to
we
the
talk?
situation.
Okay.
Yeah. And okay, one of the things is that in California, what's the purpose of a Marsden motion? A
Right.
Marsden motion is to replace your appointed counsel. And
Mm-hmm.
so now he wanted to replace counsel. At what point do anybody know what point of the trial this was? Was this after the trial or during the trial? When he
This
It
was
filed this
during
was
Marsden?
this was before the trial
4.
started.
Yeah.
This was
Okay,
before,
okay, okay, yeah, okay, right,
because
okay,
remember he didn't
right,
go to trial for 10 years. That's why the
right, right.
trial
That's
kept being put off, because he
right.
filed this
And so,
Marsden motion, and
what
then
year was it? What year? What year was that? If you
this
recall,
was
do you
like
recall?
this was like he got arrested April 6th of 99.
Yeah.
From I say the end of 99 November all the way up until 2008, he was filing
Was
appeals.
filing. Yeah. Because it says in there, say each year, almost each year, he was constantly
Yeah,
filing
for 10
something. Yeah.
years he did it.
Yeah.
He filed Marsden motions.
He
Yeah,
was it was a lot of them.
he
Yeah.
was filing a
Wow.
bunch
Okay.
of
Yeah.
motions.
Okay. So he's doing ineffective assistance of counsel. I guess when he gets mad at the attorney, he fires him pretty much.
Well,
And
it wasn't just him firing them pretty much for nothing. They was taking information, sharing information with the DA that they didn't get permission from him
mhm,
first to share. And that was
yeah.
mentioned in the Marsden report that
Oh.
it was a conflict of interest. And so one of his attorneys talked to another attorney, and that attorney told him, you need to remove yourself from the case, because they had
Mm.
shared some information that he had on Laura that
Right.
he didn't want the DA to see the information
Yeah.
he had. And what they did is they took the information that he had on Laura Cowing, and
Mm-hmm.
his one of his attorneys, well, was a couple of them, took the information and gave it to the DA. And so
Mm.
when he found out about it, that's why he kept filing all those motions. It wasn't just him
Right.
not wanting to. I think he was trying to prolong the trial that from
Right.
Yeah.
coming, but it was also some other conflict of interest, some things that was going on.
Right. I guess. Okay. So he got. Okay. So it's some kind of form of ineffective assistance or irreconcilable conflict.
Right.
You know.
Because I want to squeeze this in there. You got to understand that, which we've talked about this before, that when he was filing these motions, he had his own evidence. For some
Mm-hmm.
reason, they didn't want him to present his evidence, because I think they was trying to make it look like, this being Riverside, they was trying to make it look like, oh, everything was on him. And like I've stated before, everything was not 100% on him. He's responsible for what he did, and he's incarcerated for it. But there was also other adults in the house that aided and assisted in things, and they should have been held
Mm-hmm.
accountable for what they did. But they made it look like he was just a 100% fall guy.
Right.
That's what they did. And so
Uh-huh.
he did these margins in motion, because me and Richard went through, and I know you've seen it too, is that everything is broken down in the state of California by penal codes,
Yeah.
and how he was charged, what was dropped, what was appropriate for him, for it to be charged to him, and what wasn't. And so the way I read it is that there's a lot of stuff in there, evidence that he had on her that was shared, like that blue picture. That's one of the things that was his evidence. And
Yeah.
she
And
got a
she's.
hold of it, and she's
Mm-hmm.
parading it around on the internet, making people think that, hey, he did this to my kid. When
When
in
that's what
fact,
she did.
he didn't do that. That's what she did.
Right.
Exactly.
She did that.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
That's why I had to let her son know when he sent me a message. I don't, like I said before, we don't talk to him. We don't deal with him. And for all of us to speak for ourselves is very hard to, until you see somebody consistently keep going after you. But when her son spoke about anything, I'm like, here's a person, him and or none of his siblings shouldn't be speaking on none of this stuff that occurred, because this stuff didn't happen to them. This stuff
Mhm.
was told to them that this happened to them by their mother. They couldn't give you a date, time, or a place when none of this stuff happened.
Yeah.
They couldn't even tell you. And then when he came at me saying somebody's absolutely wrong about what? Specifics. Give us all specifics on bullet points, like we've done on what are we wrong about.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
So the
thing.
thing. Okay. So yeah, because that gets. So that's getting off into like her chart. I mean, well, it's so much stuff that she said, but her specific charges, under California 273.5 of the Penal Code, corporal injury to spouse or somebody cohabitate with them. And so I guess she cohabitated, and that in and of itself is so many different type of ways and various forms where she lived with you, where you guys lived with her, and back and forth, and all kind of different stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
in California, it's a wobbler. That means it can be a felony or a misdemeanor. And so what usually happens here is that it's at the discretion, to charge either as a felony, and it's really a discretion what they're going to choose. What's the severity of the injury? Because if they have like a very simple assault, they won't charge you with the felony. And especially in 2000, the 273.5 was pretty much as it is now, but a little different then, you know. And for a felony, you'll serve 2, 3, or 4 years, and misdemeanor up to 1 year. But both of them a $6,000 fine and probation granted.
Well,
And
that's what it states in that. It's confusing because when we spoke to the district
yeah,
attorney's office about a little bit over a week ago, and then when you read in this Marsden report that you're looking at
there's
now,
273.5, 273.5. Now we went from Marsden, so now we're on
right? But I'm
the
saying
actual law. And when it was at that time for the 2000, because he got convicted in 2000, that's when they filed the charges on him. And his original date, his crime falls up under that date when he was arrested. Even if he goes 10 years later when he goes to court and stuff like that. But I mean, it's all kind of ways that they switch around to tell somebody you're up under the latest law, not the earlier law. But it's really
but
when
did
you
you
can. Go ahead.
but did you not hear what the district attorney was telling us last week? That
Yeah.
she was not a credible witness. That's number one. And
Yeah.
that number two, we all know that she lies because of all the lies we discussed with them that she's put out in the media. And then number three is that she said somebody can go and say that they was raped over here, but you got to have proof. They don't have no proof. That's why when I was asking the questions, was she raped? The DA said no. Was she kidnapped? No. Was she starving? No. This is her false story that she put out in the media. And my thing is, again, is that, like I asked him, why would you put a person that's not credible on a witness stand that sat up and said she was repeatedly stabbed in the foot? That's why I mentioned the prosthesis. Shouldn't she have been wearing a prosthesis on her foot if you was repeatedly stabbed in the foot? So it's just
And
it's a lot of stuff in that Marsden report that didn't add up in the things that they were saying to us. Like when you mentioned, well, behind the closed doors, there's no way of you telling. Okay, so what about all of us telling you what she did in the home, and we
right.
was behind closed doors and you weren't there?
Yeah, that's
So
when
there's
when
no
the
way of
DA
you
said that.
telling.
Matter of fact, this wasn't even the DA. This was a person that works with the DA's office,
She was
and
an
the
office
capacity.
manager.
And I didn't even get office manager, and that was ridiculous. Why she was even in the meeting,
Right.
Yeah.
because I'm
I didn't
saying,
understand that either.
yeah, that right there. I was like, okay, what are they doing? I'm saying, they give them. That's another runaround situation to me for what I see. You know, um, but as you were saying about essential elements, in 2000, I'm saying they got certain things they got to prove. They got to have a willful infliction of physical injury on a spouse, former spouse, cohabitant, former cohabitant, or parent of a child. The
She
injury
didn't have
resulted in
no
a
injuries. She didn't have
right. See,
any.
that's
They
one.
stated.
That's one of
They
the
just
elements.
took
See,
her
this is
word.
crazy.
When I
Right.
asked, you took her word at face value. They said, yeah, they took her word at face value. She didn't have any injuries, but she's going to the media and she's
Yeah.
telling people that her teeth was knocked out of her mouth. She didn't have any teeth
And
missing
see,
out of her mouth.
and back then, 273.5, you have to have three elements. One is
Yeah.
is willful inflictive injury. One is injury resulting in traumatic condition, a wound or a body injury, whether minor or serious, or you did not. Let's see, you did not act in self. The person didn't act in self-defense. So had to have prove three things. So those are three things.
Or
Three
you would
elements has got
have
to be
to
proven.
have, and it says also too, or you would have to have lost consciousness.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that right there is,
That.
far as that's a traumatic condition right there. That falls up under the injury. But I'm saying with these three things, which one of these is it even? It takes all three of
Yeah.
these elements. It's not
Yeah.
just one of these elements.
But then again, you gotta look at too, like she was saying, and I stated it, and I'm gonna state it again, like we said before. It's not for we're only reporting what the facts are, and we have the facts. That's why we're speaking. But when you look at it, for us, this isn't right the way that he was charged. It's not that we're trying to make excuses for him, but he does have a right to go after her, like they stated, and sue her. He has the right civilly. He can sue her for saying that he repeatedly stabbed her in the foot with no injury. That's just the law here in California. He can sue her for saying that he stabbed her in the foot repeatedly, that
Right.
he knocked her out with a VCR and there's no injury, that he starved her. Those are things that he can sue her for, in a list of other things.
And that's suing her. And then
Because
for them to
there's no
even
evidence.
prosecute that kind of thing and not have the evidence, like you were saying, is malicious prosecution. So that's a lawsuit for them too.
Well, their excuse is that it all depends on which DA was trying the case. And remember, it was a whole bunch of DAs that maybe about 8 of them that over a period of 10 years will switch off with these cases, because one of them that we spoke to that just retired said that he didn't even know how to get the case even to trial, because every time he went across the case, he would scratch his head, because a lot of stuff in that, it makes sense. You got to look at people's good common sense, even our own common sense. How do you stab? And I keep going back to that. How do you stab somebody in the foot repeatedly, but there's no injuries there? If you stab somebody in the foot, and that's just common sense, you wouldn't have a foot. We've all seen.
Well, I mean, what negates that whole situation is they didn't have.
It would have
They
killed
didn't have
her.
any kind of reports of any kind of injuries, any kind of medical reports of injuries.
That's what she said.
None of that. No,
They had
where you
none
have they have
whatsoever.
anything,
Yeah.
you know?
Nope.
I mean, and it's crazy because for a misdemeanor, you what you're doing is usually minor. It's minor bruising, swelling, and redness. That's when you usually get the misdemeanor one. In a felony, often more severe, broken bones, deep cuts, or losing consciousness. So
But
that's
see,
where
the thing is,
we have none of these elements. They don't. I mean, where is the injury? But you just have somebody saying this.
That's what we asked, and she said it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It was the person. It was the person that tried him in the case. Now she just said the only thing that he could do civilly is sue. They didn't prove that he did none of that stuff.
They didn't follow their own law because they didn't have the elements to even the power to give those charges. Pretty much, all they had to do is say, "Okay, do we have the evidence for these trials? No, we don't. I mean, for these counts, and then just counsel them. That was a waste of time doing the trial to even come up with that crap."
Well, I mean, they was getting paid. You got to look at how big the case was.
Yeah. But as you talked about, it was a lot of DAs. What happens is, like, DAs, they come in bunches. You have one that's the main chair, and they might come with 2 or 3 other people. And how many DAs do you remember seeing in court? When you go into court, how many of them was it there?
I saw 2.
Okay. So you'd have the main, you'd have the main chair, and then first chair, second chair.
I saw 2 ladies in the beginning, and then after about, I say 2-3 years, I saw 2 ladies and a guy. Then after about maybe another 2-3 years, I saw 3 ladies and a guy. But I always saw the one DA that we spoke to last year in May. I always saw him. The other 3 ladies, they just completely just dropped off from the case because they didn't know how to try it. It was,
and I remember Karen Gorham, she was first chair.
Yeah, she was first.
Yeah, and then after her, and then who was? I mean, because I'm trying to think which ones were the first chair going throughout, because
it was
he
Karen,
was
it was Karen Gorham and Elaine Hunt. Those was the first 2.
Right. Okay. So what's his name? The Todd guy. He was like second chair. He was all. You said he was always there since Karen Gorham.
Yep, I saw him a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And it was just confusing to him because he didn't, like he told me, Richard, and Lakeisha, he didn't know how to really proceed with that case because it was a bunch of stuff that was being thrown at him from her. Pretty much, I'm gonna tell you this. The way he explained it to us is that the lady wanted everything that was done to all of us kids that were kids at the time and young teenagers. She wanted them to pin everything that he did to us onto her.
What lady?
Laura, she wanted them
Okay,
to
okay.
win. That's what she
But
wanted
she's
them to
not even
do.
a D. She's not even a DA.
But that's what she
She's a,
wanted because she's running in
oh
the
boy,
media freely saying this stuff about being
this is
starved, being
ridiculous.
109 pounds. It's just a lot of stuff that they sat back when we were sitting in that office and they laughed at.
You said 109 pounds times three, but go ahead.
I'm just telling you that that's what was pretty much told to me, that a lot of stuff that happened to all of us, she wanted them to pin everything that happened to us onto her.
Yeah.
Mm,
That's what she wanted. She
mm,
wanted it pinned onto her from us to her children. I mean, she stated in an article that she found out that she went through the same thing that our mother went through, and she didn't. You did not have 13 children and was consistently beat with every child. You did not. And it's a
mhm,
lot of other things that all of us is privy to concerning our family that we know that she don't even know. So
mhm,
that's the thing that I'm trying to really get at. And this is, like I said, it's not in any trying to defend him or anything. I'm just looking at this stuff is real. You can't we can't make, this stuff up. It's real,
mm.
you know.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep. Yep.
So when you
Yep.
mention the corporal injury, I don't get, how could you charge? That's what I asked this office manager. How could you charge somebody with corporal, I mean with what did she call it? A spousal abuse with no corporal injury. She said you can
Right.
do it. She
Yeah.
said
I
you
mean, it could be
can.
psychological, but you got to prove the psychological abuse. It's gonna be heavily psychological.
It
You know,
was
in that case,
actually
like
it
the
was actually the other way around. It was her that was in the house playing crying games like she was crying to get
yeah.
empathy because
The crying
she couldn't
game.
get a bag of chicken patties or
Hmm.
the bread that she wanted or the chips, or she couldn't get certain things that she wanted from dad. It was her doing all the boohooing and psychological harm and being emotional, turning on gas in the house.
Mm.
I mean, it's a lot of stuff. It's a
Right.
lot of stuff
And
that she.
so that's see that's when we're talking about the injury severity. You know,
Yeah, but there
and
was no
so
injuries. That's the
I
You
thing.
know
know.
what I don't like about is that they didn't listen to y'all, and that pissed me off. They just ran with her, and that was it.
Well, you know
Hmm.
why they did that. You know why they did that.
Yeah, because of
Because
the
it was
letter
like
and stuff.
it was
But
like a hot press thing during that time, and you probably had some people that was boring people that was bored at their jobs, and as soon as they heard about something like this, they just went to running. And then a lot of them, what they did, they exaggerated stuff, they added stuff to stuff, they used all of us, and they got promotions and all of that stuff. That's what they did.
Career moves.
State, yeah, then
It's
the
a
state,
career trial, like of this
yeah,
career.
and
Yeah.
it was a waste of money because the state paid them all that money, every last one of them that was involved, and they gave her the platform to do what she's doing right now. Like I told our
Hmm.
advocate that was sitting up in there and the office manager, I blame you guys. You guys gave her the platform, to do the stuff that she's doing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and and that's something because when you mentioned the advocate in there, and how did the advocate advocate for you when we were at the meeting? How did that go?
She was quiet.
yeah, she didn't say a
Mm,
word.
I think she was. I think it's like almost like culture shock when it came to her, that all that stuff, because I remember the first time when we met with her back in May, me, Richard, and Lakeisha, is that she sat there and put her hands over her mouth and was just shaking her head and trembling because she knows about that entire case and what happened in the beginning. And she was like, "You're kidding." And I think when we were sitting in there the second time, she had heard so much of the story already, and we was just attacking them on more stuff. It was just like, you know, it's just like shocking, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's how she looked to me sitting there. She looked like she was in shock that she had said the things that she said. Even when
Right.
I asked, was her son chained up for a whole year when he was 3 years old in chains? They said no. This is a lot of lying. This is a lot of manipulation. This is the brain of a narcissist, a selfish person that's just making up a whole bunch of craziness.
Mm.
It was already bad, like we stated several times, what he had done to his family. But when she came into the picture, things got worse. Things got worse. And it got worse because he was already bad. Both parents was already bad. But then they brought another bad person into the home. And she was
Mm.
sharp. She was sharp. She was a conniver. She was selfish, rude, a disgusting person. Just craved all the attention all the time. What about me? What about me? What about me? All the time. Somebody that me and Richard know that has worked with her told us that they had an event. And when they had the event, she was invited to the event. And when she was invited to the event, she took over the person's whole show.
And where was this at? This event?
This event took place in Cleveland. I'm not gonna mention the
Oh, okay.
individual's name,
Okay.
but
Yeah. 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 Okay.
she
Right. Right.
she
I
she
know.
went she went to an event that he had, and he had her present to speak at the event, and she got up and to ask everybody, "Who do you love?" And these people there don't even know her. That's how it was in our home. It was like
Mm.
all of us was ghosts in our home, and she the only person that exists.
Mm.
You talking about a
You-
selfish person? I mean, phew.
But let's get back to what the DA. I mean, the DA is all supposed to do for you guys as victims. And I was just, going through some notes on what victim advocates should do for victims during and after the trial.
Okay.
Because in California, victim advocates, you know, they're through the district attorney's office, victims witness program. They're supposed to provide a bridge between, the government by the penal code and Marcy's law. Matter of fact, now during the trial, advocates' primary goal is to minimize the trauma of the court process and ensure the victim's rights are ensured. Court accompaniment, accompanying the victim to all proceedings. How did that go?
You
The
mean
court
you're talking about during the trial? Did anybody
yeah, during
accompany?
the trial. We're doing the trial right now. Yeah,
Yeah, the advocate was present during the
right.
trial.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and how did that go? Key, I'm saying, do they provide emotional support and a calm presence in the courtroom for you?
Not necessarily. I mean, I know for a fact they shouldn't have had no reporters in there,
Right.
because all these reporters do is they come in there and they don't write stuff exactly, word for
Hmm.
word on what happened. They make up their own story.
And how many victim? I mean, did they have the advocates for? I mean, because it
One,
was
only one. It was only one that I knew
for,
and that we still know today.
for all of you guys, one advocate, huh? At a court hearing, and people got to going through different emotional trips. Okay, that's
It was
something
only
there.
one.
So okay. So what about case updates? Keeping the victim informed of case status, including changes to the court dates and unexpected plea offers, or things like that. Marsden motions. Did you
I
know what
didn't
was
know
going on?
anything. We didn't know anything about this Marsden motion. This is
We just
something
know he
we
kept
just
switching
found out.
lawyers. I just found he was
Right.
switching lawyers, but we didn't
We
know
knew
what
we
that
knew he
was.
was prolonging the trial, but we was just told that what he was doing is that he was putting in a waiver of time. It was never said that he was doing any type of appeals or any of that. It was just that he was putting off court dates pretty much
Mm-hmm.
because he wasn't ready to go to trial. We didn't know anything about this Marsden motion to win, Richard. About I
Mm.
think
I don't
we
know.
was really aware of it last year
Yeah.
Right.
that we got a hold of it, and we was really aware of it
Mm-hmm.
Like Crystal
last
said,
year.
we knew he was putting off, the trial doing stuff, but I didn't know he was filing these motions
Right.
until
All the specifics.
that we didn't know all of
Right.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody
Mm.
told us that he was doing
And
that.
that's something.
And
See.
I think they didn't tell us that he was filing these motions because a lot of that stuff that's listed in that Marsden motion concerning Laura and her children, Adrian and her children, he didn't do. And so that
Mm.
they didn't call none of us to come testify because they knew
Mm.
that if they
Mm.
called any of us to
Mm.
come testify, that we was going to tell on her.
Well, they already. I mean, but you guys already talked to them and told them about her.
We did, but this wasn't in court. This was outside of court.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's
And
why I'm saying. That's why they
they
did.
was
That,
trying to
I'm
keep
thinking because I'm here from talking with them outside of court because they talk with you guys and figure out what they're going to talk with you in court. And
they
if
was
they know
trying to
you,
keep they was trying to keep the presence of everything that she did out of the courtroom so that way the jury's ears couldn't hear it and that the judge couldn't hear it. That's what they
Mhm.
was doing. Now, when we did go into the courtroom, he testified to what she did. He had a brother
Right.
who testified to what she did. And there was other people that testified to what she did. She claimed that it was never any mention in the courtroom of her abusing any children or doing anything, and that's not the truth. That's a lie. You
What about the defense?
testified. You
Yeah. Oh yeah.
testified in court
Yeah.
about
Oh
her
yeah.
behavior and things that she did.
Yeah. And it, I mean, myself, I noticed that when they started asking me questions, the DA wanted to stop it. With the defense wanted to ask questions, but I'm trying to answer them questions as fast as possible. Give all the information what was going on from what I've seen about her, which is, like I said, it's all in the record right then at that time. And I'm saying and going through the process of you know when the defense asks you questions, how did the district attorney ask the prosecution act? How did they act? Did they
The who?
object to a lot of questions? How did the district when his lawyer asked you questions? How did the district attorney act when they were asked you
They
questions?
stopped him every time. When the trial started and his attorney asked us certain questions about Laura, the
Oh,
DA,
okay,
Julie Baldwin, would stop
right.
Dad's attorney.
Yeah, it's a rhetorical question for me because I already know what happened. Exactly. And that's
They
something,
asked a
and that's
question like
suspect
this.
right there. Because
They would ask you this: who did the abuse to you in the home? And when you would go into details and you would go down the line to how the abuse started and how our father met Laura,
right,
once it got to the abuse about her, they would stop you. And Julie
right.
Baldwin would say, Your Honor, I need to speak to you because I knew this was going to happen, that they was going to try to turn,
Hmm.
the trial into about Laura.
No,
That's
no,
what Julie Baldwin
it
was doing
wasn't turning the
in court.
trial about Laura. If they're in a court of law and ask what happened with the abuse, you're gonna tell who and
But
all abusers.
that's not how they did us.
Yeah,
They
they,
would
they
not
now
let
here's
us.
and
They
another
would not
thing.
let us say
Right,
anything. And
right,
before we went into the courtroom, before we
right.
got on the stand, we was briefed about
Uh-huh.
that this trial was about him and putting him away for good, so he couldn't hurt us anymore. It
Yeah,
wasn't
but see,
about nobody
right.
else but him.
But Laura testifying her state of mind and her character should have been called because she wasn't there saying that you guys did this and that and all this stuff to her, abused her and her kids and stuff like that. We're talking about abuse. What abuse happened in home? And that's all relevant, especially to any victims or anybody that's testifying in there and their character. This is the crazy part that I just don't even get to today. That's probably why the other guy was scratching his head. The other DA said he's his head scratcher
Well, it wasn't.
because they
It wasn't just him. It was all the DAs that was involved in that case. The guy told us, Richard, he was sitting there with us with me and Lakeisha. He said every time you guys, he said I'm very familiar with you guys' case. He said, and it never, every time he think about us, it never goes away. He said every time he goes across that case, he
You just shake
scratches
his
his
head.
head.
Yeah.
He said I shake my head and I just scratch my head because look, logically speaking, you gotta look at how, like I keep saying, how was one person able to do all this stuff, be a watcher? The way she spoke about him, that he was a person that was a watcher over her. Then she threw all of us up under the bus and started speaking about people ratting people out in the home.
Yeah.
You know,
Ratting people out.
she
And
was
here it is,
ratting
you got
us out. She was
ratting.
ratting every
How
last
you
one of
gonna
us
rat out
out.
are still when kids are being abused, but you're talking about being abused, then you're talking about they're ratting each other out or they're telling
No,
each
no.
other
She
snitch.
said that it was a lot of the women in the home that was ratting each other out. And she
Mm-hmm.
said it was a lot of ratting out going on in the home. You're telling on yourself what you was doing, ratting kids out that was stealing food because they was malnutrition,
Mm-hmm.
they was starving. We weren't stealing food. We say we were stealing food so the people in the audience can understand that's the way
That's
we
what they
was
called
taught.
it.
That's
Yeah.
the way, that's what they called it. We know now that
Right.
that wasn't stealing food because it's natural for somebody that's hungry. We're individuals. If you're hungry, you go in the refrigerator and get you something to eat. You
And
don't
I'm gonna tell you,
expect you don't expect
when
as
that
a
term
child that I'm going to the refrigerator and getting something to eat, and you got this big old 219-pound woman, Herbert, over you telling you, I'm gonna tell your dad on you and he gonna kick your ass.
yeah. And see when the
You don't
word
you don't think
stealing,
that.
the word stealing way back then, I mean, it irked me to my core. You know, when hungry children are going to get something to eat, and to even label that as stealing,
Yeah.
you know, for them being starved for days on end and stuff like that. To even to, you know, it's hard. I mean, you shouldn't even be making that statement. For her to even make that statement, it's a red flag for her right now. Oh, they were stealing. Oh, they
Well,
were. So
well,
you
that's
felt
how
that they
she
were stealing.
speaks. That's how she
Yeah,
speaks now.
that's a red flag right there.
She
Because
speaks, she
somebody
speaks
that's
like that
empathetic of that
still.
situation is never gonna say that those kids were taking food and they had a right to take food because they were hungry.
That's how she speaks.
Yeah,
She speaks like we was wrong, that we was stealing food, that we would do it at night. And like Richard
right.
said, which something I thought about is
Yeah.
how are you up in 1 year span? Let's say she lived with us. How are you up 365 days of the year every night saying that you saw us stealing food at night? Because they would get up at night and go do it and be in the cabinets.
Somebody watching.
Why are you
That sound like
standing around watching children take food? And then she played it off. She played it off to trick the audience like she busted one of our siblings stealing some food because when we was on the Dr. Phil show, we told what she was doing, but they put a clip in the Lifetime movie like one of our sisters was trying to steal some food and she caught him and was
And she
trying to
helped
help
her.
him like she was
Yeah.
this good sweet person.
that.
And I'm just like, that's a lie right there. And
Yeah, it's a lie.
the bad part is that we lived in our home and we know what happened. All of
You
us
know,
know.
something. Speaking of that, you guys know what happened, and me being around that time, I never heard you all say and tell me anything positive where she looked out for you guys. Or I heard from everybody. I mean, all the
Never.
shenanigans I heard that all the shenanigans that I heard that she did, you know, and the different things from. I mean, um, throwing shoes at people, putting. I mean, the big stuff is like giving people pills to swallow. And I mean,
I was
this
one
lady
of
was
them.
a huh? Yeah,
I was one of
you
them.
know, yeah, this lady, she was a piece of work. And far as her, not eating and be 106 pounds. Earlier in this show, I said times three. Literally, folks, times three with my own eyes. I saw that she was an obese woman.
She
And her
was.
thing, I mean, she did not miss a meal. She was eating good. She'd had cravings for certain specific foods, and he'll run out and grab that stuff. And some of that stuff, I'm like, I'm not eating
Like I
this stuff. I
said,
don't even eat.
The
What's
piggyback
that?
off of what you said, she would
Mhm.
literally attack him to go get food for her. She would attack him. It
You
would
know
it.
what?
Mm-hmm.
Not to cut you off, but I like what Ham said about the how overweight she was, and then you was talking about the type of food that Dad would go get for her. If you look at that picture, y'all, on our if you go through, up here, y'all, if y'all watched our videos, we have a picture where it shows that she claimed that she was peeing in those bottles, and you see
Yeah,
that the bottles of soda and stuff and all that. That's the stuff that she was drinking, and that lets you know how she ate. You know,
Yeah, because she had a thing for what was it? Was it strawberry sodas? What kind of soda
it
was
was
yeah, it
that?
was
cherry
one,
Pepsi.
and
Cherry,
that
cherry
bottle was in
Pepsi,
there.
cherry Coke,
Yeah.
which were
Yeah, and
okay.
we did. It was cherry Pepsi and then cherry Coke. But we did a
Yeah,
video on that with all of us up there. Like we was
Hmm.
telling because a lot of them snacks that she had, none of us had any of those snacks because they didn't let us eat like that, and especially
right.
not no sodas. We didn't get no soda. She would get these big liter bottles of sodas,
Yeah,
and
she
she would
sure.
sit at the table and drink a whole 2 liter
Yep.
bottle. She would
Yeah,
drink
through the
while
day, he
she's
was talking about how
eating.
much soda she. He was telling me how much soda she would drink, and
Yeah.
I'm like, because I remember, going to get food, and I'm like, this crap, because he was like, hey, you want to order something? Hand him. I'm like, I don't want none of this crap. I don't eat that crap. I'm like, no, I don't. No, 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 no. She has some real funny, strange taste. So I mean, that's something else. So far as her being a deprived woman and abused, I didn't see any abuse. Far as her being a shut-in woman, locked in, I never saw that because she was going any place she wanted to go, whatever she wanted to go. And by her having her own vehicles at time, then they go check the motor vehicle records. And like, oh, this woman
Yeah.
drove around her motor vehicles. So how she held hostage? How she been
That
kidnapped?
all of that stuff that she said that he did, and I stand by it. And I'm not talking about us. I'm
Right,
specifically talking about her. All of that
right,
stuff that she said he did, and I stand by it. She premeditated all of that stuff and she made it up. That's
yeah,
what she did. And what they did, they grouped all of us together. And
Yeah.
that's what I told the office manager there is that it looks like to me from, living in that house and then viewing this case is that you grouped all of us in together with this lady. That's what you did.
yeah,
And that's what gave her the, just go out. Yeah, this happened to me too, because they
yeah,
grouped it in like that, and they shouldn't have did that
Yeah.
because
yeah.
she wasn't abused at all.
So
Yeah.
she was Me Too before the Me Too movement, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
In a
yeah,
sense,
Yeah.
you know, and
She
that kind of stuff
invented it.
right. Yeah, that kind of stuff right there. Knowing that's the crazy part because she was a bad, heinous person just like him. Birds of a feather flock together, and so those two were the perfect match, and she was more than what he thought she was gonna be. I think. When looking back on it, because I mean, they were wow, they were something else. They're a piece of work. So, but I mean, but that's what psychopaths do. You get two psychopaths together and stuff like
I
that.
had never when I saw some of them transcripts, I was like,
Hmm.
those are just dead lies right there to say that there
Hmm.
was 3 women starving in the house. I had never seen our mother,
Hmm.
Adrian, or Laura starve, especially
Never.
not Laura, because like I said,
yeah.
Laura would attack our father. She would literally attack him to when she didn't want to go to the store. She would write a list of
Hmm.
junk for him to go buy
Right.
for her, and he would go get it.
Mm.
It wasn't like our mother. If our mother asked him for anything, if she was told to wait. Now, with Laura, he would jump and go
Mm.
do whatever she said to do. He did a
Right.
lot of things, like I told the DA, he covered up a lot of abuse for her that she did. She did a lot of stuff. Why he did that, I don't know. But he covered up a lot of stuff for her that she got away with.
Hey, okay. I wanted to ask a couple of questions about after the trial, things that advocates should be doing for victims. Because this is important, that all victims should be, receiving certain kind of services and help. Because when you got kids up there and then you just take the parents away, then just like leave them to fend for themselves. But you're saying that they're in a house of horrors, and you don't facilitate everything that they're gonna need is something else. All the resources. So, but anyway, some of these things after the trial, sentencing, and post conviction, once the verdict is reached, advocate shifts from long term recovery and financial justice. So,
Mm-hmm.
victim impact statements. Okay, you went through that situation through some of the, as you go through some of the hearings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so the victim's opportunity to explain how the crime changed their life. Okay, you dealt with that. Um, and what I'm thinking about restitution assistance, helping the victims document financial losses, medical bills, lost wages, property damage. And I'm saying when you're talking about somebody's you're talking about losses, you got to factor in the whole childhood and kids being raised a certain way and abused. That's a serious loss there, and helping them with coping with that situation. So helping the victims document financial losses, medical bill. Okay, hold it. Filing for California Victim Compensation Board, which can pay for counseling, medical costs, and whether the defendant has money. Return. Okay, property return. Coordinating law enforcement to ensure the items held as evidence, cell phones, clothing, etc., are returned to the victim as soon as possible. How did the victim advocate help you out with that?
They didn't. They
What did
didn't
they
help.
tell you?
They
And I
didn't
already
help
know.
us.
Yeah.
The only
What
thing
did
they
they?
did, the only thing they did was gave us the number. And when we called the number, because those things you listed that we thought that we was going to get help with, we didn't get any help with none of those
Yeah.
things.
Right. Because I remember at the time, I got the brochure down at the DA's office and saw all the different resources that they had and asked
Mm-hmm.
them about it, and it was crazy. Because for me, it's a thing of when you discriminate and you deal with a certain people differentiate a situation where you get to the point where it's like, okay, this is racial bias, what you're doing. This is bigotry, straight up. You don't want to admit it, but this is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And because and then then the property that was all in the stores, you were going down to the stores trying to recover all the property. You guys said your whole life, just the things that you guys did have, and then having the storage down there for all that time, and then wouldn't let you get your,
They wouldn't
you get
even
that,
help
let you,
us. They
yeah,
would not help us get. We had like 3 storages filled up with stuff,
yeah. And
personal
then the
birth
one time, you
certificates.
remember one time you wouldn't get, you lucky, you got a few things. She said, okay, I'm just gonna turn my back and let you get a few things. That kind of stuff,
I'm not gonna say
you know.
who, but
Yeah, I know.
she did us a good job because the stuff that I have now, I wouldn't have it.
Right. Well, yes, you went off to you got some of the main evidence,
Mm-hmm.
some main evidence that hasn't seen the light of day, that will be seeing the light of day.
Yeah.
The Most High willing. So we know God willing that this, hopefully we pray and we ask this sees the light of day. Some of it starting this year.
Yep.
So I know some things are in the works. And so, I know, people that are watching the channel, eventually they'll be seeing these things. They want to see all these different receipts because there's so many of them. And so where you see where they dropped the case at, you're like, why would they drop a case like this on these victims and not even care about the victims?
Well,
So,
like I said, everything was done for them to get their promotions and all of that. That was their goal. It's just, I mean, they locked him up and he got in trouble for what he did, but their number one goal was to lock him up so that way, they could get their promotions and stuff. That's what it was. Because I know a lot about a lot of people that went on to get certain promotions and people opening up own law firms and all types of stuff. And what
mhm,
happened to all of us?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. And then, yep. So, but yeah, that's pretty much the extent on the on what's happening there. They had a few other things. You know, let me see. Well, let me see, notification services, notifying victims. What's this? Vine, victim information notification every day.
Mm-hmm.
For the California Department of Corrections notification system to receive alerts if the defendant is released from prison, escapes, or has a parole hearing. How's that been going?
The what?
How have they been notifying you, you know, um, if the victim is released from prison, escapes, or has a parole hearing?
Oh, they've notified us for that.
Okay. And then, yeah, okay, right. And then parole hearing advocacy.
Yeah, we
If the,
had the advocate there, two of them. It was two advocates and the DA there.
okay, right. So hopefully you get some more traction on some of the resources that should have been given to you guys, because to me it's like they should have rolled out the red carpet, but instead they treated you guys as victims, you know as you guys were perpetrators.
Right.
And you shouldn't be treating victims as defendants. And
That's what they
that's, and
did.
yeah, and that's bad how Riverside, then everybody else like, okay, we go a certain way. Why? Because you got what you wanted from the system, but you never looked out for anybody else, and the resources were there. It's still today. It's like, why? You know, and we all know why,
Mm.
because we know it's about carpet color people. It's a complexion thing that happened. That's just the bottom. They'll deny it and everything else. We already know how that one goes. But I got some questions for them if they ever want to sit down and answer, and I'll guarantee you, it exposed them for just who they are from what they did in that kind of situation right there. So, okay, that's all I got to say right there.
Okay. Okay. So what are we gonna move on to next?
I got a lot of stuff here. You can start at the top, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to look through these notes.
Hmm. Ooh, that's the third time I done dropped it.
Okay, what was at the top?
Uh, Dr. Claire Sheraton, when the pediatric doctor, her testimony concerning everyone, and just testified to everybody's weight, and that Laura and her children weren't involved in that because they weren't underweight, they weren't abused, none of that stuff. So they're not even in that portion at all, and she doesn't
Mm.
talk about them. So she's out in the media saying all this stuff happened to her, but court paperwork says otherwise. So
Hmm.
In that Marsden report, there is no mention of any bruise, any scar, any starvation, any malnutrition, any it's nothing of no sort, that none of that stuff that they put up in there that happened to all of our siblings happened to her children or Adrian's children.
Hmm.
it's
Yep.
nowhere there. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's something that we've been saying anyway, but to to have the actual paperwork and read it and see, what's
Yeah.
going on. Yeah.
That wasn't even the element of the case, of the trial. It was
Yeah.
not allegations for that. It was not charge. The charges are several charges for this. Because with you guys, not only that, the charges went before Laura even came into the picture, also,
Yep.
and the abuse happened before that. So that was just a certain amount of years. How many years? Laura running around. I mean, how many years was that?
Mm.
I don't know. Some
Yeah.
stuff that they was doing because they was adults and we was in the home. You and
Yeah.
stuff he said he had been knowing her longer
Yeah.
than what she's letting on. Yeah,
than what she's leading on. I mean, he said
yeah.
it was 7 years that he knew
Mm.
her. This was outside of our
Uh-huh.
home. He knew her for
Right.
7 years. And she alleged that in an article that she knew of a lot of things that happened to all of us before she even met us.
Mm-hmm.
She said that in an article and in an interview that she knew about a lot of stuff that happened to all of us before she even met us.
Right. Huh. So it's probably a lot of information there with what she was involved with.
Yeah. So when you get off into that portion with Dr. Claire Sheridan, when you get off into the portion with Dr. Claire Sheridan, um, she goes into her testimony, verbally speaking about what she found throughout all the kids' examination. And so it went into starting with, let me go back to the top. It went into starting with, okay, here it is. Dr. Claire Sheridan Motney, pediatric doctor, testimony of Monsters Children. This is what she stated in the Marsden report, what I'm going to read and explain. Dr. Claire Sheridan testified concerning 7 of the minor children abused during examination and the younger teenagers abuse. She testified that Musa's children was severely underweight and under height for respective ages. She testified that all 7 of Musa's children suffered from psychosomatic dwarfism, meaning
Dorford,
that
yeah.
the bodies of these children was severely deprived of food and vitamins due to the patterns of abuse they experienced. Now, this you're not going to find this in no report of Laura's children or Adrian's children. The stuff that Laura is saying in the media is a lie. You're not going to find
Because they
stuff.
they weren't below the percentile for their ages, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
So she said that we all suffer from starvation, malnutrition, decayed teeth, lack of vitamins, lack of sunlight, from being locked away in rooms, padlocked in garages. Now, that's the key thing. Padlocked in garages. That's in the report. Laura never mentions that we was locked in her garage and that the homes that we did live in that she moved in with us that we were locked in any garages. She's taking on this thing. I was locked in the garage.
Why did they have those addresses, all the addresses that she had? The DA, I wonder what kind of investigation they did on her. Something seems really amiss on that situation there with the DA because they had to do some investigation. Let's see, because the things that you guys told them, I know that somebody investigated. It's somewhere.
Excuse me. You go ahead. I get it from. I'm gonna mute this, you guys.
Okay. Because I know it's got to be exculpatory evidence.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like I don't, but yeah, she's not involved in any of this. Like it's just ridiculous how this report shows that it was locked in a garage and padlock, all that stuff, and in certain places they lived in, and Laura, locked in her garage, other places, everything, and that she uses that in the media and says it was her. Then she turns around and does a movie girl in the garage. You know,
Yeah.
it's so
When she had
disrespectful.
when she had kids locked in her garage. How
Exactly.
would you feel? I wonder how America would feel just knowing that right now, that this woman is out there talking about girl in the garage when she had kids in her garage. This is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it is. I mean,
And like I
A
said, in that
television.
to the movie, that's the thing that is like, I don't. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
and like I said, in that report, it strictly mentioned that there was children locked in garages.
Yeah,
Outside of
Mm,
everything else, that's what this doctor testified to, because we all had conversations during those physicals in those private rooms. We had conversations with her about what happened, and it started with those first, um, the six of the kids that told first. They was the ones that when they was removed after we left that home up in the Wanga, because it reflects in the police report all the names and who told what.
mm,
And like I said, side note again, before we go on, this doctor had no evidence of Lord Cowan's children being treated this way, and this was strictly her testimony of Musa's kids and Musa's kids only. So Dr.
mm,
Claire Sheridan went on to testify by saying Musa's children was deprived of the essential things that a child need. And I repeat, this came from being locked up in garages, locked in bedrooms, padlocked away, denied food for days at a time, and at most a week. Severe and physical and emotional abuse. Okay.
mm,
So as I go on,
mm,
Musa was charged for torture on each child. Each child, his children, great bodily harm with specific intent to cause harm he inflicted, extreme pain and suffering for the purpose of revenge.
mm,
When she spoke about that, I was like, wow, because I never even took it as that he was doing it for revenge. But then I go back to, okay, when Richard told me, because I didn't know this, but since we've been speaking, and he told me that the things that he went through as a kid, growing up. And it was just like,
mm,
wow, the whole connection of all the things that he
mm,
was doing and our mother was allowing, is right there.
identical.
Yeah,
mm.
all
Yep.
of it,
Yeah.
all of it, down to a T, every bit of it.
He has a track record of this heinous stuff.
Yeah. And so when she went into extreme revenge, she talked about the reason why she used the word revenge, because he would tell children that if you steal food, I'm going to punish you. And then when children stole food, he would get revenge by
Mm,
beating them brutally, you know?
mm.
So it
Yep.
was things like she testified, not doing prayer on time, not studying your Quranic verses. He did all of this for a sadistic purpose. The jury concluded that he inflicted torture on his children solely for not to punish us, but strictly for revenge, so that he could experience pleasure from doing it. And that part right there, like I was telling Richard this week when I was reading into that part, is that I saw tears, but the tears was fake. I saw tears when he would get real brutal and severe with punishing some of us. I saw the tears, but they was fake. And he would tell us to pray for him. Pray for daddy and make sure when you pray that you ask God to forgive me. How can I pray for you and ask God to forgive you for what you're doing to me? And you're doing it. I'm not doing it. Those was his words, how he would speak to us. Pray for me when
Mm,
you guys pray and ask God to forgive me for what I did. I know I'm wrong for what I did. Every time I try to stop, I can't stop.
mm,
That's how he spoke to us. And the thing when we would do prayer is, if he thought we wasn't praying for him, he would make one first it was just everybody in the ranks, boys in the front lined up, girls in the back lined up. Everybody just praying. If he thought you was not praying for him, he would make everybody move off to the side, have Marcus stand there and do your prayer out loud. And that was
Mm.
pleasing and satisfying him. That's what it was. Because he would always tell us, make sure you pray for me that I get into heaven, and you better pray for your mom. That's what he would always tell us. And so imagine a parent telling their kid they do wrong to you, and but you better be praying for them. Are you praying for me?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, it's just crazy. So we go down into child S, female, had damages done to her abdomen, bruise, and burns on her body, decayed teeth, and severely malnutrition. Child M, male, had a broken arm and had bruises covering his body, decayed teeth, and severely malnutrition. Laura can't say that both of her children, all three of her children, matter of fact, had broken bones, arms, and had bruises all over their body, and was severely malnutrition with decayed teeth. She can't say that. Brother M, male, was severely beaten, underweight. Growth was stunted. He suffered a bleeding from Musa hitting him in the face. He had decayed teeth and was malnutrition. Reminder, these are just some of the findings and facts of some things that happen. We will get more into detailed things at a later time. And I want to say, if you are present around a child abuser, don't make any excuses. Don't brush it under the rug. If you are there, say something, do something. Do not aid the individual in abusive natures, because this is called enabling, and you will be a part of the abuse. Get help, and get help fast by calling the police or calling the National We Tip hotline to report the abuse. And not just child abuse, but any type of abuse, elderly abuse, abuse done on an adult, child, any type. Child M, female, was severely malnutrition and underweight with decayed teeth. Child C, male, severely underweight with decayed teeth and bruises on his body. Child C, male, severely underweight, has stunted growth, starved with decayed teeth. Child N, male, severely underweight, height stunted, decayed teeth, and sustained bruises. Child C, male, had back injuries from being kicked with an army boot by his father, and was severely underweight, and his growth was stunted, and he was deprived of food. These are actual facts. These things that happened, it was corporal punishment with bruises and other abuse elements that was named. Now that's corporal punishment right there.
Mm.
Child R was severely abused by Musa. He is the oldest and original son who experienced Musa's wrath at a very young age, and the horrific abuse put him in the hospital. Child R believes Musa's plan was to kill him. Musa's oldest child, Child L, experienced sexual abuse at a very young age, from 13 to 22 years old. And this situation is very graphic, so we will just leave it there. No
Yeah.
graphic details will be discussed about that at all on this platform. Um, Sister T also experienced some sexual abuse, starvation, beatings. And as far as the sexual assault portion, we will not go into this because it's graphic. Child C, female, experienced 3 different blows to the head, was starved, severely abused, suffered 2 broken hands, and was severely abused. Brother D left the home running away 3,000 miles to escape the torture and ongoing abuse of being starved, beaten, and suffered some broken bones. This is just some of the notes, starting with all of the kids that lived in that home. And we'll probably get into more if
Yeah,
we decide
probably
we're going to do, you know, a
another
fourth
part.
part.
Yeah,
Did you want to elaborate, Hannah or Rick?
Hannah, I'll let you go. Hold on. You're
Sorry about
muted.
that. I muted. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I muted myself. Okay. Um. No, hold on. Could you rephrase that briefly again?
You want to rephrase the whole thing?
You
Yeah.
talking about what she?
Which part, starting from the top?
No, what you were saying. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to.
No, I think that case she was asking. Do you have anything you want to say, or I
No,
guess
I was
add?
just saying after we went through everything, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Okay, okay, okay. No, I was just looking at some of the DSM-5
Mm-hmm.
about child psychological abuse. This is used when a parent's symbolic acts like using God to shame or control a child results in significant psychological harm. And so I mean, because asking kids to ask God to forgive them,
Yeah.
that's a deep dive there. When you try to analyze that situation,
I think we
it's
spoke
just
about that before, but I don't think I ever got into really deep details. Maybe some of
right.
our other siblings did, but that
Oh,
right there,
okay. I got these people here. Hold on.
okay.
I
But
got to check out.
okay, I'm gonna
All
continue.
right.
But that right there, going into that, like he said, a parent asking a child to pray for them. Why would you ask your kid to pray for you? Your kid, if your kid love you and you're good to them, your kid gonna naturally pray for you. You know,
Yeah.
they're gonna do that
Yes.
naturally. Kids, t- they don't want that happen to their parents. Their parents taking really good care of them, and they love you and all of that. Kids gonna naturally pray for you. You
Yeah, you're
know,
right. Yeah, you're
so
right.
I'm just like that part right there. Yeah, that
Like getting mad if they don't.
that'll sting you right
Oh,
there.
man.
But I guess we're gonna move on because Hannah went on the break. So going
Yeah.
into back into the Marsden law, Adrian Easter's testimony. Uh, she stated that dad did not hit her or hold her hostage in the garage. And so that's in that Marsden report. Adrian Easter stated in her testimony that Musa did not abuse her son. Yes, her son had lost weight, but she thought it was due to him changing homes and moving in with another family. Adrian's son was given to his family after she made the decision that the environment was not good for him, meaning the home that we lived in. Note, Girl in the Garage movie shows Musa kidnapping Adrian and throwing her in a garage. How is this true when Adrian testified that this did not happen? And if it did not happen, why has she not said anything?
Yeah.
So here's what I believe. I believe someone paid her to keep quiet. That's what I believe. I don't have factual evidence, but those are just my thoughts
And
about
when I saw the movie as we was talking about, as we was doing this report, I think the first, not like the second, well, the second one, whatever. And that's when I was watching pieces of the movie, and I was just like,
that.
okay, she didn't say that in this report, but they have this in the movie, and I was like, why is she quiet about it? Because I was like, this is crazy. Uh Musa didn't do this to you. She said this in court, so it's like, why are you going along with the movie that you were kidnapped.
Makes you think sometimes people just don't care. They just want people to believe anything,
Yeah,
you know? And like I said, this is not something that is being made up. We actually have the Marsden motion that states that Adrian said that he did not hold her hostage, he did not kidnap her. But like I said, again, that's as far as we're gonna go with that. Um, we'll have more to come. Like I said, if there's gonna be a part 4, which I think there is,
yeah. I think
we'll
we're
have
gonna have
more
to
to
do
come.
another because it's some other things we need to, I guess, clear up and get to, and we can start from here. Just come back next week.
Right. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Because we still got a lot more.
yeah.
So
It's a
we
lot
stopped.
of
We got, oh boy, we got a lot. One, two, three. Yeah, we got a lot more.
yeah, yeah. But we're still
We've
waiting on
been up
some
here a
other.
while.
Yeah, we're still waiting on some other information, y'all. We just, like I said, we spoke with the office out there, the DA's office, and it's a trip though. That's all I can say. I wish I
Hmm.
could say. I mean, later on as time going, I'll explain why. What's the trip and what's been going on. We've been saying some stuff little by little, but I just don't like the process, and and a lot of stuff that's going on behind the scenes. We're trying to do. It's it's frustrating. Yep.
Really is.
Yeah. So, all right, Crystal, have anything you want to say before we
No, that's
end
just
this?
pretty much it. Just making it clear to everybody that if you know of anybody that's going through any type of abuse, and when I mean abuse, I'm just saying strictly plain out abuse. We're all individuals, whether you're a child, an elderly person, or young adult, older adult. Don't brush things up under the rug. Don't hide it. It's better to get help so that you don't suffer any trauma from being an enabler, and then that the individual that's going through it, they don't suffer.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So, everyone, make sure y'all just watch all our videos, like, share, subscribe, get the likes up, so we can get out there. More people can view this channel.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Once again, everyone have a blessed day and a blessed week, and we'll speak with you later.
Good night.